All right, story time again. So, as you can see, I've fleshed out quite a few things for when I open the restaurant. Where should we start? We'll just start at the top. I'm going to talk about a deep fryer story. So, let me see. This was about 3 years ago. So, we had this intern from a culinary school that I used to go to. We're going to call him Jacob. Jacob was I think he was Mexican or Spanish. I don't know what the proper way to refer to him is, but he's Mexican and his English isn't too great. My English isn't that good either, but his is worse. So there's a little, but he could speak English, but there was like a communication problem between everyone in the kitchen and him. So he was interning, so he was working for free, and by working for free, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're benefiting from it, because if somebody makes so many mistakes that somebody else has to go back and fix them, or they waste product because you can't use it anymore, you have to throw it away, they're actually a deficit to the team. So just because somebody's working for free doesn't mean like, oh, I'm working for free, I'm a princess or whatever. But not this guy wasn't like that. But anyways, I'm just trying to communicate. Just because you work for free doesn't mean you're benefiting the restaurant or business or whatever you're working for free for. You need to work for free and do a good job, then you're benefiting them. But when you do a crappy job consistently, anyways. So we had problems communicating with this guy, but he could speak well enough that we could ask him like, okay, this. Do you understand? And he would say yes. So we thought, okay, he understands. But it was a consistent problem where we would tell him to do something, or he would be doing something and we would try to correct him like, hey, don't do it like that because this will happen to the thing and it's not usable, it's going to come out ugly or whatever it is, right? But it was just a consistent thing with this guy. He was very nice and very friendly, but it was a consistent thing that he would mess things up, and it would be after saying, yes, I understand. And just nobody could break through to him. And the only reason we really kept him around was kind of hoping and praying that we would get to a point that he's more useful than he's not, and like, okay, we learned how to communicate with him or something like that. And then after he finished his internship, we would hire him. But he was probably the only person that interned for like 2 or 3 months that we didn't offer a job to. For the most part, everyone who interns and lasts for 2 to 3 months, we offer them a job and pay them. But yeah, but back to the deep fryer story. So it was a normal day of service. He was working the fryer, and this is the process for dredging chicken, right? You take the raw chicken, you dump a bunch into a big bowl of flour, you mix it up, and then you make sure you bend the chicken, you get it in all the cracks, make sure there's no exposed areas. You do a really good job of uh, breading it with flour. It's just buttermilk marinated straight into a flour. There's no like into egg wash, into flour, into panko, no fancy crap. It's just buttermilk from the bin. Take the chicken, dump it in the flour. Oh, take it out of the bin. Make sure you don't bring all the buttermilk with you. So let it drain a little or something. Put in the flour, mix it, do a good job, and then shake off the excess flour, put in the fryer. And as you can imagine, it doesn't take that much effort or communication to tell somebody, hey, you need to shake off more of the excess flour. There's too much flour on it. We've I don't even know how many times multiple people saw him like just like grab a handful of chicken with flour on it. Because if you hold a whole clump of flour, okay, this is a piece of chicken. If if there's this is 5 pieces of chicken. if you don't separate the pieces and then shake it off, this is how you would shake it off properly, right? Like imagine if there was sand in these pants and you're trying to shake it off. You're trying to go at every angle and to shake off all these individual little parts of all the sand. But if they were in the sand and then you just went like this, you grabbed the whole clump and you shook it like this, obviously there's flour caught on the inside. So he would like grab clumps and then and he wouldn't even shake. He would just grab it and then just drop it in the fryer. So we had to yell at him to get him to stop clumping them in one, like don't grab all 5 pieces at once. They'd tell him like, okay, you have to either, I usually do like I grab 4 pieces at once, I pinch 2 like this and I pinch 2 like this, then I can shake off 4 pieces at once, then put it in. But we told him one per hand, shake it off, put it in the fryer. Okay, instructions clear, right? Do you understand? Yes. He picks up the piece, he just throws it in the fryer. And trying, like, the thing is, you would tell him to do something, he would fix it for like one day, and then he would come back the next day and he would forget everything. And then there's not always somebody watching him all the time, which we basically had to do because he was constantly doing something wrong, even though we fixed it and he was doing it fine for one day, but he forgot that he needed to do it that way. And yeah, very frustrating. Anyways, this one specific day, it was busy or whatever, and nobody was watching him, and he was doing the chicken. And he he didn't shake off the flour so much that he just kept throwing extra flour into the fryer. And I didn't know this could happen, but it was just like random. Right in the middle of service, it was a busy day. He's just doing his stuff, and then he's like turned around and cooking. And then all of a sudden, I see the deep fryer just start boiling over. There's like oil spilling out in every direction. This is like 350-degree oil just spilling over all the ledges. It's like if you threw ice cubes in the fryer, it was just like bubbling over and just boiling. So there's hot oil going everywhere, and there's still chicken in the fryer, and it's just all coming out in every direction. And then we're just like, everyone stop cooking and back up and all that shit. That, like, it just kept coming. It wasn't like boom and then it was gone. It was like a constant flow. So first thing is not to yell at him because like what the fuck happened, but it was to make it stop flowing. And I as the boss and as the problem solver, I just told everyone, get out of the way. I ran up to the fryer, and then I looked for something close to me, to anything close to me, and I found a towel like this. This is your standard kitchen towel. So the I knew that it was the heating element was heating up whatever's in the oil that's causing it to overflow. So I had to figure out a way to turn it off. And the little lever is really tiny, and you have to pinch and twist it pretty hard. So you can't use like a pair of tongs or anything. So you basically have to use your hand. So it was overflowing in every direction, and it would like go over, and then like 1 second there would be like a window where it didn't flow, and it would just flow in different spots. So it was very, very random. But to stop the flow of it, I threw the towel over my arm, and I just went really fast, and I pulled the door open, then I left it open, and then I was like watching the oil on top, and I had to like time it to put my hand in the waterfall of oil to twist the knob really fast. And then, yeah, probably shouldn't have done that. I probably should have put something more protective over my arm, maybe like a metal pan or something that I could use to tip it. But my main thing was to get it off as soon as possible. Like this whole thing happened in like, I ran around to the fryer in maybe 2 seconds. I grabbed the towel in like 1 second, and then I did that whole thing in like 3 seconds. So this whole thing was like a 10-second window. But yeah, I reached in under the waterfall of 350-degree oil. I didn't get burned. I turned it off, and then it stopped flowing. And we're in the middle of busy service. There's grease all over the floor, and we're just like, what the fuck just happened? And then I realized he didn't shake off the flour on so much chicken. He basically dumped, because there's so much flour attached to the chicken. When you throw it in the fryer, that's why you shake off the excess, because when you throw it in the fryer, there's only whatever's stuck to the chicken stays stuck to the chicken. All the excess flour that you don't shake off goes in the fryer. And I guess, so the way a fryer works is there's a heating element around here, and then there's like a little lip, and down here there's like, so what I figured out is there's cold oil in the bottom. That's where all the sediment goes, and the heating element heats the oil here, and it causes it to go up, and it kind of churns the top part. But the bottom part is where the sediment sits at the bottom, and it's kind of cold down there. And there's just so much flour that it built up that whole bottom part, that the churning of the heat in the top caught the flour at the bottom, and it started to emulsify it into the top. And then because it did that, it kind of created a cycle where it would constantly, every time it heated up, it picked up more cold flour, which caused the thermostat to think the fryer is too cold, and it'll turn it back up to get more heat. So it would blast the heat, get more heat. Because there's more heat, it'll churn more. It'll just pick up all the flour. And it got to a point where it was basically oil boiling flour. And that's what caused it to overflow constantly. Because every time it overheated, it picked up more, it churned more, and it picked up more flour from the bottom. That's why it just kept coming out. So yeah, that's what happens when you don't shake the excess flour off. You overflow a whole deep fryer. And after that, it was busy service. We're in the middle of service. We're not going to close the restaurant or anything. We're just like, everyone stop. We got to clean this shit up. And we had to change the oil. We had to change the hot oil in the middle of service with hot oil all over the floor. It's greasy, it's hot, it's dirty. There's flour in it. There's chicken in it. Yeah, that was a mess. We had to drain out all the oil. We had to clean out all the extra flour on the bottom. We had to move it somewhere. We had to scrub the floors to make it not slippery enough for us to work. So I was like, you keep cooking. You, me, we're going to change this oil right now. You, go away. You're getting in the way. And then we had to pour new oil in the fryer after we took out the oil. And then we had to wait for it to heat up before we could use it again. So that was like food was still coming out where it could, but the deep fryer had like a 30-minute window of not having any food come out. But we told the customers and they're fine. That was a pretty long story. That was probably 10 minutes already.